Hello everyone, welcome back to another ATP Fantasy video. This is Josh from Expected Aces. In today's video we're going to look back at tournament week 1 at the Monte-Carlo Masters. I've been doing some big data deep diving on all of the key information, especially where the best value is when it comes to certain player price points. So let's serve it up. So as you can see on screen, the standout pick in the end of course was our eventual champion Jannik Sinner. 51% ownership at the tournament week 1 deadline. So he was a bit of a differential, especially if, like myself, you gave him the bonus ball. They were the true winners this week. As long as you had him in your team this week, then you've had a great week. If you only owned Carlos Alcaraz and put the bonus ball on him, then it wasn't a disaster. He made the finals. But congratulations to everyone that owned Jannik Sinner this past week. So this was the first week of ATP Fantasy. It was a brand new game. What have we learned so far that we didn't know before? So I want to give a shout out here to James Tomlin on Instagram, who messaged me to say that you can only have a maximum of 8 switches per week. This is regardless of playing the swing switch chip or not. He actually made 8 switches using penalty points, and they do cap you at 8. So you cannot buy low and sell high because they cap you at 8 switches per week. So James, I know you took a minus 300 point hit this week, but thank you for your sacrifice. We've now learned this intel. As a reminder, the swing switch chip is also capped to 8 free switches, and you cannot go beyond that either. You can't keep taking minus 50 point penalty points to stack on that. No matter what, you can only make 8 switches per week, no matter which way you do it. Point number 2, dynamic pricing. This will lead to situations where tournament scheduling will impact our transfer decisions. This has already happened last week, for example, where in Monte-Carlo, Jannik Sinner was playing his quarterfinals and semi-final matches before Carlos Alcaraz on the order of play. Therefore, upon winning those matches, in the live rankings he went up to number 1 in the world, and subsequently rose from 36 credits to 40 credits. He then went back down a few hours later when Alcaraz won his quarterfinal and semi-final matches. But it does mean that because of this, player prices are going to move all the time, and you may be lucky or unlucky depending on when your player happens to be playing that day. Deadline inconsistencies. This was a big one. I'm very sorry for all of you that were misled by the ATP. As soon as the tournament week 1 deadline passed, the new deadline was set for tournament week 2, and it was set to 20 past 3 Central European time for Monday. This did not change throughout the entire week. I then made a video on Sunday flagging that matches were starting in Munich and Barcelona at 11 AM Central European time. According to official ATP Fantasy rules, the deadline will always be when the first match of the tournament is played. Inexplicably, the ATP did not move this until the 11th hour. They did not move the deadline and update it correctly until 9:15 AM Central European time on Monday. So for those of you around the world, especially in the US, you will have set your reminders in the morning knowing the deadline was going to be at what you expected to be, 20 past 3 Central European time, and then you woke up to find out that the deadline actually ended up being over 5 hours beforehand. So I'm really sorry for those that it impacted. It's really poor for them they didn't update it in time. I don't know where this time came from. There was surely no way that the first match of the week was ever going to start that late in the day anyway. So I really don't know what happened on their end and why it took them so long to update it. I just want to keep you guys updated on that I will try and flag where I think there's a problem. And we had a discussion on Reddit on Sunday about the deadline being wrong, and just sorry for anyone it impacted. Hopefully they won't do it again. I mentioned this last week, but we've confirmed that first round losses at the Monte-Carlo Masters and Paris Masters, where they are smaller draws, you actually don't get the baseline points for that particular round coming in. You don't get the 30 points of being in around the 64 straight away. You only get 10 points. And those seeds who got a bye into the round of 32, to earn your points, you have to win a round. This won't matter again, as I say, until the Paris Masters, which will be the very final tournament of ATP Fantasy this season. But I just wanted to recap that we have found that out. And then again, as I mentioned last week, retirements don't trigger the straight sets bonus. However, I can confirm that upset bonus points do apply. We already had that in Barcelona on Monday when unfortunately Jack Draper retired in the final set against Thomas Martin Etcheverry. Etcheverry did still get his plus 20 bonus points for beating a seeded player. So we know that still applies. So who were the winners and losers of the week in Monte Carlo? As I mentioned, Jannik Sinner won the tournament at the most points. Big thumbs up to everyone who owned him. Other than Jannik Sinner owners, it's Valentin Vachereau owners that can be the most happy. Unseeded on home turf, went all the way to the semi-finals before losing to Alcaraz, 476 points. Some great upset bonus point wins along the way over Lorenzo Musetti in the second round and Alex de Minaur in the quarterfinals. A great week. Congratulations to everyone that owns him. His stock's only going to continue to rise and rise. He's definitely a hold throughout the entire clay court swing. I know he missed out this week, but he was always going to be very tired for the emotions and the occasion of what he was able to accomplish last week. João Fonseca, over 50% ownership, fully justified. Only 4 credits at the time as well. He's now up to 6 credits, having just reached the quarterfinals of Munich. 238 points. A massive return at that price point. Massive well done to everyone who owned him. He is now the second highest owned player in the game, and that is fully justified, even at 6 credits now. A few others to note. Hubert Hurkacz, 3 credits, 184 points. Good upset bonus wins, massive serving on the aces bonus front. And then some great value picks underneath as well. Bergs and Mahatch at 4 credits each. Matteo Berrettini only 2 credits. Huge greens for everyone who picked them. One player you'll notice that is not in either of these categories is our other semi-finalist, Alexander Zverev, who also earned over 400 points. From that point, you must be thinking, well, he earned over 400 points. He's the 4th highest scorer. He's got to be in green. I think, as I mentioned before, at 33 credits, only 3 credits less than Sinner, if you'd gone with him and worked the budget around a little bit more, you would have got 1,050 points at least. So I can't sit here and say that Zverev was a good pick, knowing that you lost out on nearly 600 points by spending 3 more credits. The upside was well worth spending the extra 3 credits. I know you can sit here and say, well, it was 3 credits less, and he's playing this week, and he's playing in Madrid, Sinner's not doing either of that. I can't sit here and say that was worth it to lose one of your switches. I think if I told you, would you rather have 600 more points and 1 less free switch, or save your free switch and lose the 600 points? You're always going to pick the points. ATP Fantasy at the end of the day is all about earning points. So it's no good sitting here being like, I didn't go for it, I lost 600 points, but at least I saved one of my free switches. That's not going to get the job done. And especially when you consider as well that it's only 50 points to make another switch. So you still made like a 550 point profit, even if you then had to burn a penalty switch to get Sinner out of your team. So I definitely can't sit here and say that Zverev was a good decision for last week. Obviously this week it's a different story. But I can't sit here and put him in the green. I can't put him in the red because he was the 4th highest scoring player. So he's not in the red either, but I just wanted to make sure why he's not on this list and why I believe that. But we do need to not get too hung up on saving our switches. It's going to be important to a degree, but given it's only like minus 50 point penalties, you can't justify that for the 600 points you would have gained by going for Sinner. In terms of those guys on your right hand side of the screen, 3 players with minus points, and they're all big names. Musetti was 4th in the world at the start of the week. Medvedev was 7th seed at the event. Khachanov was 12th seed. All in the minus. Medvedev minus 38 points. I don't know if that'll ever be beaten. It's only been 1 week, and who knows how long this game will go on for. In years to come, we still might say this was the worst score of all time. Quite incredible, really. If you still got him, you have to get rid of him. Jakub Menchik owners, very unlucky. I think he was around 24% ownership in the tournament week 1 deadline, and he pulled out. Obviously, his score didn't count. Your alternate came in instead, but very unlucky. Casper Ruud, 122 points, but I still got to put him in red because now he has such a high ownership, over 40%, and he's now going to be out for a long time. Loads of points coming off in Madrid as well. I don't think he's going to play. Don't think he's going to be fit enough. So make sure you sell him before the Madrid points come off. Again, I have to put it in red because I think it's, given his price and his ownership, I think you're very unlucky, but it didn't quite work out as you would have hoped. And then other big names here. Cerundolo was 42% ownership, only 34 points. That's not good enough at his price. And the same goes for Rublev and Khachanov, as we've spoken about. And Tsitsipas, I went there, took a gamble, but a round 1 loss, down from 4 credits to 2 credits in price. Not so good. Another loss here in Munich as well. The good news is that there's no points to defend from here on out, but his ranking and value has already plummeted enough, where I'm a little bit annoyed about my decision making. but it is what it is. Team of the week. I put this out on socials yesterday, but this is the best team you could have possibly afforded within budget. Would have cost you 99 credits before tournament week 1 deadline. You can't afford this team now, I know, so don't get hung up on that. But at the time, you could have afforded this exact team. And with just these 6 players in your main squad, you would have got 3,822 points. Only the players in the world that played the bonus ball chip would have beaten this score. And the alternates were also amazing, Zizu Bergs and Alexander Blocks. One thing I do want to highlight to you is that don't get too hung up on playing the alternates chip. Whenever you're in a Masters 1000 event and you've got 8 playing players, you can just play it, because you'll see here 134 points each. That's 268 points that you get for playing the alternates chip. The bonus ball would have earned you another 1,050 points if you put it on Sinner. Even Alcaraz would have got you another 692 points, which is way, way, way more than the 268 alternate points. Because you've only got a fixed budget, you're never going to be able to have massive, massive players on your alternates bench. Certainly not at this stage, certainly not in the clay court swing. You might be able to build up some good team value later on in the game as we go through the season, but right now this is obviously as good as it gets. This is the best alternates it can be. We're not going to get into the game of putting Sinner and Alcaraz on the alternates bench, because you never would do that if not. So I treat the alternates as who are the cheapest players in your team, for example. And this is what it looks like. It's probably about as good as it's going to get, maybe between 200 and 300 points. So all that to say, it's nowhere near as powerful. This chip is nowhere near as powerful as the bonus ball. So do not try and get hung up on deliberating when to use it, trying to bring in switches to make the bench a bit stronger. Don't worry about it too much. Don't break your team just to have a good 8 for 1 week. Because the reality is it might only net you 100 to 300 points at best, whereas the bonus ball could earn you an extra 2,000 in Roland Garros if you back the winner. So I just wanted to flag that, but this was the best team this week. Vasho making semi-finals, Fonseca making the quarterfinals at 4 credits, and then Hurkacz and Berrettini, just 5 credits between them, and they earned a load of points for a round 16 appearance. So now we're getting into the juicy bit, the data, the number crunching, and how strong were the seeded players in reality. The answer is it's a bit of a mixed bag. So what we did learn is you can't rely on the straight set wins. Only 14 of 31 matches were won by seeds in straight sets. That's 45.1%. It's not ridiculously low, but it is less than half. So we can't really rely on those plus 10 points match on match. Even Alcaraz and Sinner were not able to do that in all counts. They both went to 3 in their third round. But that just means to say right now, don't think about that as too much of an upside right now. It's nice to get those points on occasion, but we can't really be banking on it. So here's an interesting one. Be cautious backing the lower seeds. So those who were seeded 9 through 16, only 2 of them reached the last 16, which they're projected to go to. And they both lost in that round. There was no upside having any of those lower seeds this week, especially when you factor in that they are subject to the minus 20 upset bonus points. So there's far more value going for the higher ranked non-seeded players like Fonseca, like Vachereau, who will get those plus 20 points for causing an upset. So when draws are made, I'd be very cautious about bringing in players who are 9 through 16 or 17 through 32 at the Grand Slams and bigger Masters events, because as I've seen by the data here, it's a little bit unknown. So it's minus 160 points they conceded to the in the upset penalties. Some big hits this week. We saw Medvedev, we saw Khachanov, Musetti, all in the minus scores. It is a risk. I'd much rather have more players who are in the top 50 in the world but not quite high enough to be seeded, so you can still take advantage of those plus 20 bonus points. That said, the top players were far more reliable. 6 of the 8 made it to the quarterfinals as expected. 12 of those 21 matches were won in straight sets, 57%, and the world's top 3 all made the semi-finals as you would expect as well, so it was far more steady. Aces and double faults, very hard to come by on the aces front. Monte-Carlo, one of the slowest conditions in the season, so it was always going to be very tough to rely on any big serving bonus points, and that's illustrated here. Only Zverev and Lehechka made it to 20 or beyond. I put that as a baseline because that is the best bonus you can get. Causing an upset gets you 20 points, obviously straight sets get you 10 points. But Zverev got plus 20 points. Lehechka with the best here at plus 40 bonus points. As you can see with the rest of them, pretty low. Even Sinner, only plus 10. Alcaraz plus 8. Even other big servers like Alexander Bublik was only plus 12. So yeah, it was never going to be too much of a reliable factor in Monte Carlo. Things should improve in future events, but it shouldn't really play too much of a factor in our decision making right now. And how good were the budget players this week? And the answer is pretty damn good. Bonus point magnets, so 8 players that cost less than 5 credits won their round 1 match in straight sets, and 6 players at less than 5 credits achieved upset victories to get their plus 20 bonus points, which is exactly what you want. And looking at the 1 to 4 credits, average points per credit at each price point, so this is the total score of all the players in that price range at the time. I divided that by the number of active players in that price bracket, and I now divide that by their total credit cost. And what that leaves us with is those players who are at 3 credits as being the best value, just about by 0.1 over 2 credits. You can see that those who cost 2 credits and 3 credits ended up being the best value for money. But those at 1 credit and 4 credits are only just slightly behind. This is showing you here that 15 points, as we look at it, is kind of what you're looking like as a baseline. So we can see here that you're kind of looking for your 1 credit players to get at least 15 points as a baseline. So therefore, as they go up, you kind of want to get more than that. So in reality, you really want your 4 credit players to be getting you at least 60 points per week. That's how you sort of know if they're on pace, if you had a good week or not. So if you've got a 3 credit cost player and he got 45 plus points, then that's a good week. For the 4 credit players, it's 60 points plus. This gives us a good early indication. Obviously, this might change and we'll keep an eye on this week on week, but this is your first initial look at what does a good pick look like and how many points should I expect at their price point. I've highlighted here some of the notable picks. Fonseca, 238 points at 4 credits. Amazing. Hurkacz, 184 points at 3 credits. And then you've got Berrettini and Monfils. These were the best players at their respective price point at the time of the tournament week 1 deadline. Fonseca is now up to 6 credits, FYI. Hurkacz, Berrettini and Monfils are all at the same price point right now at 3, 2 and 1 respectively. So let's take a brief look at the top team in the world right now. 3 players had the same score, 4,828 points. They all had these 6 players on screen. The alternates may have been slightly different, but they all had this core 6. This team used all the budget as well, 100 credits. But as you can see, the key was triple bounce chip on Jannik Sinner for 3,150 points. Do not panic if you didn't do this, because in the long run, this was probably the wrong call. And I say that because if you save your chip and use it at Roland Garros and you back the winner of the Grand Slam, you will earn 3 times as many points as these guys did. If you put a triple bounce on Alcaraz and he wins Roland Garros, that's over 6,000 points, rather than the 3,150 these guys have got this week. So don't panic, use it then, use it wisely. This was minimum requirement. When these guys played this chip, Sinner had to win. He did, and that's great for them, but you have the advantage if you haven't done it already, regardless. I saw lots of players as well that have put it on Alcaraz last week and only obviously got 1,200 as a result. You could hit that by backing a semi-finalist at Roland Garros, so you didn't need to go any further than that to get higher than Alcaraz. So do not sweat, do not worry about what these guys are doing. They're playing a short-term game. It's absolutely fine. I've even seen that this particular person on screen has also now gone alternates chip in Munich and Barcelona this week, and took a 250-point hit to make 7 changes to their team this week. So they're being very aggressive. That's how they want to play the game. It's totally fine, but do not worry about what they're doing. Focus on your own team. Save that chip. When it comes to the alternates chip, use that in Madrid or Rome whenever you've got 8 players playing with good draws. But yeah, all that is to say, you're at an advantage if you haven't used a bonus ball chip already. If we're looking at their team structure and ignoring their chip usage, you can see the Sincaraz drafts are reigning supreme. Sinner and Alcaraz was the 1 this week, with Sinner with the bonus ball. You then got 2 mid-tier players, Lehechka and Dashiro at 9 and 7 credits respectively. And then you've got your value picks who are 4 or less, Fonseca, Berrettini. And then they've had to put in Arnaldi and Basilashvili in at 2 and 1 credits just to make the budget work. But that is your sort of structure you're looking for. Your 2 premium picks, and then 2 in the mid-tier range, and then you want 4 players that are 4 or 5 credits or less. That's a good balance to have right now in the early weeks. So that's it for this video. I'm looking back on tournament week 1. I hope there were some useful insights in there for you guys. On screen right now you have my team from last week. For me, it was always going to live and die by Jannik Sinner, and I got the gamble right, which I'm really pleased about. I backed him as bonus ball, differential pick, it paid off, fantastic. The rest of the guys, they did okay. They all won a round, which was nice. Berrettini at 2 credits coming in clutch. Lehecka had a big, return on the aces front, which was nice. Could have been better. Obviously, I've been harmed by not having Vachereau and Fonseca. But still a very solid week to start the season, especially with the Jannik Sinner bonus ball. Had that not come off, I would have been in trouble. But I'll be back later in the week for a full Madrid preview. The draw will be on Monday, we believe. We don't know what time yet. And then the men's tournament kicks off next Wednesday. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment. Please subscribe to the channel for more ATP Fantasy content. And join the conversation. Join us on Reddit, ATP Fantasy. Follow Expected Aces on socials. And if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and join the 50 plus players in our Expected Aces League. The code is on screen now. So that's it for this one. Hope tournament week 2 is going well for you guys so far. Let me know how you're getting on in the comments. I'll be back later in the week to look ahead to Madrid. Bye for now.